Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. Let's move to Osun State, where recently a violent clash broke out between supporters of the All Progressives Congress, APC, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP, over the control of the state's 30 local government areas. The conflict started after the appeal court reinstated the sacked local government chairmen and councillors in Osun State, who were elected under the APC platform. This decision overturned an earlier judgment by the Federal High Court that nullified October 15, 2022 local government elections. Now, a popular artist, Davido, initially criticized the Osun State Commissioner of Police, Mohammed Abba, for not allowing the rule of law. However, he later retracted his statement and commended the police commissioner for their efforts in maintaining peace and security in the state. The situation remains tense, with reports of sporadic gunfire and presence of hooded gunmen. The police have been deployed to maintain order, and residents have been advised to remain calm and avoid areas prone to clashes. Well, joining me in the studio at this time to discuss this is Ayodeji Ologun, is the spokesperson of the Osun Masterminds. He joins me live in the studio. Thank you for your time, Ayodeji.
Thank you for having me.
Let me ask you, first and foremost, what is going on in Osun State? The recent developments, around the local government areas, we know that there is a court injunction there. Some are saying the governor is overstepping his bounds by not obeying this court ruling. What's your take?
Well, what's happening in Osun, I don't think is something that most Nigerians are not aware of. Maybe we should start from this point. There are actually two subsisting cases. One was between the APP and HOSEC, which the judgment was given. That was the initial case that led to the disbandment or the removal of the now restated local government council chairman and councillors. That was taken to the appeal, which was eventually abandoned by the APC. So a case that was not pursued is as good as dead. Then we had a second one, which is between the APC and the PDP, which is the one that went into appeal at the appeal court in Akure last week Monday. Judgment was given last week Monday in court now in favor of the APC, because if you go through the prayers that the APC put before the appeal court and the appeal court granted, it still suffices to say that the local government chairman and the councillors were reinstated. But the war started right from that Monday. Initially, it was a media thing. The back and forth, the different interpretations by different lawyers were all in the realm of the media, until Friday, when the CTC, that's a certified true copy of the judgment, was eventually released, and then the whole thing skyrocketed and snowballed into what eventually led to a full-blown crisis yesterday, which led to, as at the last count, the police admitted that 6 lives have been lost, but there are evidences and there are reports that says there are more lives that are lost than those 6. But in all of this, I believe that bloodshed, arson and killing was totally avoidable. Whatever the matter is, it was an issue of the law, and it should have best been interpreted by the law court.
I mean, looking at Governor Adeleke's body language and, of course, his tone on this matter, would you say that he has been able to, as the executive governor of the state, is he controlling or is he acting out of order?
Well, I see the actions of Governor Adeleke in recent times as less executive, because when you are governor of a state, like any other state in Nigeria, there are some things you should not do.
Like what?
Look, the Sunday press conference where he labeled the former governor of the state the way he did was unnecessary. And one would have thought, for somebody who was a beneficiary of the process of the law, when that judgment was given, because the issue is a lot of people say there was no clarity. The PDP is saying that there was no definite judgment or definite directive in the judgment that is stated. Because I'm not arguing that, it's none of my business, I'm not a politician. But even if that be the case, assuming without considering that the APC are claiming a victory at the appeal court that was not clearly stated, what someone like Adeleke or the PDP, which is the party that he represents, should have done was to simply approach the same court of appeal and seek for interpretation of the judgment. It's allowed in law. Approach the same appeal court that gave that judgment and ask for an expansion or what you call details of the judgment. And that will have put all these things at rest. Possibly the worst that could have happened is maybe the court of appeal picking another date for an expansion on the details of the judgment, and that will have kept away all this person. So coming out to preempt, because that's the way I see it, what never happened, and allowing party members across the two divides to go haywire at the detriment and at the expense of ordinary citizens was something that was not the best that could have come from an executive governor.
Now, many of these local governments, in fact, virtually all of them are under lock and key by the directive of the governor.
All.
Yes. I mean, to forestall order in the state. How much of an impact do you think this would have on administration?
Well, whether you like it or not, the local government remains the closest government to the people. And when you have such an arm of government becoming unfunctional for whatever reason, then you are simply taking away governance from the ordinary people. There are a lot of people in Osun State who have no business with Osogbo, the state capital. Thousands and millions of Osun State residents don't even know what Osogbo look like. The closest to them is the local government and the people that they see. And don't forget that before now, Governor Adeleke had dissolved the caretaker government across the local government. So what we had was a practical governance of civil servants, the head of councils, the head of administration councils, HLAs were the ones that have been running the affairs, because purportedly an election has been scheduled for this weekend, which is Saturday. So which means prior to now, it was practically the civil servants that were running the affairs of the local government. And in preemption, or in apprehension of what happened yesterday, the NOGI, that's the Nigerian local government employees, withdrew their services earlier on Sunday, and it was stated indefinitely. So if you withdrew your service indefinitely because of the preemption of what might be, which eventually the worst of it was what we saw yesterday, then what happens to ordinary people whose life revolves around local government administration, whose living is attached to what happens at local government on a daily basis? Contractors, teachers, people who have one or two things to do with the local councils across the state. What becomes of them? So I just hope that maybe in another few days, the NOGE will rethink their decision in the interest of the ordinary people of the state whose life is dependent on activities that comes on in the local government on a daily basis. Let's
move away slightly from the recent crisis in the state and talk about the administration itself of Governor Ademola Adeleke. You know, as a leader in the state of a group, how would you rate his administration so far?
Well, if there is anything, I am quick to always say that even if you put the worst of men in governance, it will do some things right. You can now call those things done rightly as a mistake. But the fact is, things get rightly done. So you cannot outrightly say that Senator Adeleke has not done anything or he has not performed. That would be foolishness, and that would not be stating the obvious. But if there is anything that he has failed at, for me, and the group I represent, is the fact that he scored, I was calling him less than 20 when it comes to citizens' engagement. You are not just governor because the people elected you. People deserve to be daily engaged in activities, programs, and policies of government. That is the law.
Sorry, I would like to stay with you on that. Citizens' engagement is where you feel you score him low. But this is a governor that many even consider extremely charismatic. He dances a lot. He's at public events. He interfaces with the people. So
it depends on what you call interfacing.
So I would like to, and that is what I'm asking you. What do you mean by engagement? Can you be specific?
Yes, when you talk about citizens' engagement, it speaks to three things basically. Number one, the understanding of an ordinary man of what the purpose, intention, and policies of government are. That's number one. Number two, when you talk about citizens' engagement, you talk about accountability on the part of the government. This is what we do at this cost, for this purpose, with this intention, and with this achieved. So when there is no such feedback, then you say the government is not interacting. So it's not just about the fact that you gather people and you dance, and you drum and people dance with you. That is not citizen engagement. Citizen engagement is embedded in the ability of whoever is at the helm of affairs in the government to relate with the people in terms of policies and intentions, in terms of accountability on projects done, and in ensuring that projects are not just forced on the people, but it is the need of the people that is assessed that brings about the decision on what project is executed.
I mean, you said projects are not forced on the people. I just want to sort of go through what I have as regards some of his achievements. I mean, road construction, for instance, there are quite a number of roads that have been given a facelift in the state. There's also, in some areas, the provision of things as basic as potable water. There's rural electrification. There's the Mole surgical and medical outreach. There's the Osun health insurance scheme. The payment of arrears in salaries and pension. So, I mean, these are some of the things that some residents in the state will give the governor and say, thumbs up. So,
not the enlightened residents.
I would want your response, immediately after we return from this break. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. I still have with me Ayodeji Ologun, is the spokesperson for the Osun Masterminds. He joins me live in the studio. Now, let me give you, the right to respond to some of the. You said some of those achievements. To the enlightened, it's a piecemeal, if at all, nothing.
Well, it would be wrong to say it is nothing.
Okay.
I'm not one who would throw away the child with the bathwater. It's applaudable that roads are being constructed. It's applaudable that
inherited arrears are being paid.
Of course, I applaud him for that. But if you ask me, it is called continuity of government. It doesn't matter which administration holds it. It is the duty of, if he was not there, another person will have paid it because it's a government it's a debt owed by the government. But that does not take away the shine that he took the bull by the horn by paying the outstanding arrears. Of course, some other persons might not, especially when the party that holds it is different from the party that is. So that's not an issue. But when you look at these issues that you have mentioned as plausible areas of applaud for the governor, I will break them down. When the issue of roads and bridges construction came up, my group was one of the people that said, look, don't just wake up on whatever side of the bed and feel that what Osogbo needs or what Osun State needs at this time is bridges and overhead bridges all around the town. No. There are other things that are begging for attention, even in terms of road infrastructure, other than flyovers. Those are projects, possibly for the future. That's part of what the government does, but not at the expense of what is immediately needed. There are thousands of roads in and around Osogbo that have not witnessed improvement in the last 20, 30 years. I was born and bred in Osogbo. When you mean a proper street boy, I'm one. I hawked anything you can imagine. Orange, puff. So I know what Osogbo is like.
The length of bread. Anyway, because
so when you talk about water, when he came up with the issue of drilling boreholes, we remember we told them that, look, the world has moved beyond drilling boreholes in the 21st century. What happens to the heart layers? There are a lot of other things you can do. You can revive the dams and provide water, not when you affect the layers of the heart in the name of water drilling. And of course, if you ask them, they will tell you we provided 200-something boreholes. At what cost? How do you feel that somebody tells you he installed a borehole at 11 million? So if you tell me that a project has been done, yes, I will ask you, at what cost and how durable? So those are the issues that should be spoken to.
Okay. Anyway, let's move away from that. Let's come back to the, of course, crisis on hand at the moment. Where, of course, a recent development has it that the APC in the States is calling for a state of